others not so much. So the point of today's session with the secondary senior leadership team for the secondary school is basically to give you an idea of how things work in the secondary school as a whole, just to give you the big picture. We'll answer some detailed questions and go into some detail, but in terms of the details of the MYP, the middle years program, that will start off next week, as you know, as per the schedule. So just a quick look at the session today. So we'll start with Mr. Paul, head of secondary, followed by Ms. Naomi. Mr. Richard will take you through some technical issues, not issues, but platforms we work with. And Mr. Etienne, would you like to stand up for a second? If you have any queries or questions or problems or concerns with any of the platforms, Schools Buddy, ManageBack, iSAMS, what else? Seesaw, that's for the PYP. He's the guy. So hopefully we can sort that out right here and now at the end of this time together. And then Andy, the DP coordinator, will talk to you about what your children are aiming towards, a little bit of an overview of the diploma program at Raha. Oops. And then finally, I'll give you a little bit of a snapshot of some non-MYP things, which I won't be touching again in the next few weeks. Okay, so without any further ado, Mr. Paul. And then, it won't record then.
I won't record. Okay, all right. Okay, good morning, everyone. I think this is about the 5th time I've addressed new families anyway, so I'll definitely keep it short. The purpose of today, as Vaughn said, is to meet the wider team here and put a name to face, and also to get sort of a taster of what's up in the next 8 sessions, I think, are planned. But at any time, if there's an area of the school that you want to know more about, we can tailor sessions. Reach out if there's a group that want to know something specific that's a little more than a question or concern. Then we can put on specific things for you. Okay, so what I want to do. And I talked to Charlene a lot about this in admissions, and that's, do our families want to join Raha because it's Raha, or do they want IB? Probably it's a bit of both, but there's often different driving factors behind making a school choice. And some people will be very informed about the IB, and so they see that Raha offers all 3 programs of the IB, and they commit to that. And some arrive from other curricula and backgrounds, and then they learn about the IB. And both are great, and we're used to dealing with both families and helping in that kind of learning journey. So that is the mission of the IB. And Ian has well publicized our school mission and vision, the Raha mission and vision, which aligns, of course, very closely with the IB mission. And it's important. Schools are busy places, and sometimes you forget the wider purpose of being here, and that's what the mission statements in general do. If you work in, obviously if you work in a company, if you work in business, you've probably been a part of creating a mission or vision for your team or your company. And at school, part of my role is trying to keep it all together so that we're moving towards the same objective. So that's the IB. I highlighted a few things. If you're a grade 6 parent and you have children in the PYP, you'll know a lot about inquiring. Okay, our teachers talk a lot about inquiry-based program, which continues in MYP and DP. Knowledgeable and caring. Okay, those are some of your learner profile traits. Okay, and primary students and you as primary parents would know a lot about that. But it's a myth that those things stop when you get to middle years and diploma. That is still part of the IB philosophy. And those values and attributes are very much important and part of our school ethos. When we look at assessment, okay, and a lot of the sessions coming forward are going to be about assessment. The way we assess in the MYP is very different than in other curricula. And so there's a lot that you can learn as a parent. If you see the last point there about lifelong learners, there's a lot that you will have your prior knowledge about what going to school means, what assessment means, and we may do things quite differently from the way that you or I went to school. So that's why I want to just point at that idea of lifelong learning. We embed it in our students, in our teachers, and in you guys as the community. We want you to be a part of this. We hope that you believe in it. If that mission statement doesn't align with what you want for your children, then we might have a little bit of an issue, but I think largely it will. And then along the way, we are here as a team, our middle leaders, our teachers, really from the ground up to support you in that journey, especially new families. But the IB is a lifelong learning process, so even if you've been with us for 5 or more years, there will still be things that you will learn from your children, from us, as you support them through that. Okay, so that's the mission statement, and I hope that kind of helps give you the direction or sums up the purpose and what we are here at Raha trying to do. Okay, so I'll pass on to Miss Naomi, who's going to talk about the way that we support our students. Myself, I've come from a background in psychology and student well-being, and we've worked together a number of years, so we have a very smooth transition as she takes over this role, and she's going to give us a summary of the programs and the ways in which we support your children at Raha. Thank you.
Hi. I really am not a fan of the microphone, so sorry if I keep putting it down. Is it Vaughn? Okay, yep, we got it. Okay, so our students in the middle school, secondary, we have approximately 1,100 students that we are helping to settle in and monitoring and making sure that they feel safe, confident, and comfortable. With that, there are 80 plus nationalities, cultures, backgrounds. Some have never lived in their home countries, some speak 4 languages, some speak 1. So it's very challenging. It's a transition in itself each year to find a place. Where do you fit? And our job is to make sure that this community is one where they feel comfortable and safe all the time, even with this diversity. How are we doing this? In the middle school and secondary, we have really taken upon ourselves to learn a little bit more about what positive education is and shifting the focus from asking the question of what can I fix for you and letting the students take a more proactive approach to and ownership to allowing themselves to flourish. So positive education is basically an approach based on positive psychology and best practices in teaching. And it's bringing the language and the ideas from both of those together and teaching children how to manage relationships, how to manage their health, how to positively engage in the community. What is their purpose? And so within tutorials, within more moral education, and within advisories, this is a focus, and this is something that we are going to be pushing a little bit more. It has been something that was started a few years ago. It's slowly trickling in. We are building our own Raha curriculum. So you will start to hear your child say things like, oh, we did an activity with engagement and an advisory. That's what we want them to talk about. We want them to learn where they fit and make sure that they find their voice and feel that they can take ownership. So some of the school initiatives that we've started and will continue and we will build on are, number one, we have mindful minutes. And I don't know if any of your children have come home and said, oh, Miss Melissa or Miss Catherine or Miss Anna has been in my classroom. We've done a mindful minute. They are on a rotation, and it happens once, sometimes twice a week for some students. It's literally a minute. It gives the students a chance to breathe and just be mindful of where they are and give them a break from the academic rigor and stresses that they have. Another thing that we're doing is increasing self-awareness. So understanding themselves to better understand others, providing them an opportunity to learn what empathy is, and that goes into our restorative practices. So restorative practices would be something like allowing the student to actually understand how a situation is affecting them, but also step into the shoes of the other person, and how do you think this is affecting the other person? What do you think may have contributed to a situation? And just giving them more opportunity to voice how they're feeling and reflect. The heads of grade are very focused on asking these restorative questions, and I've heard students throughout the year last year sort of asking each other these things. So it is trickling into their vocabulary. It is trickling into the way they think, and that's really good. Another thing is focusing on resilience, being able to bounce back from a situation, learning how to fail. That's really important. We are not all perfect, and we will make mistakes, but knowing that you will bounce back, you will be able to move forward, you will be able to accomplish something. Maybe it's not that direction, maybe it's another direction, but it will happen for you. And giving them the opportunity to be able to bounce back. On here, when we send this out to the families, you'll be able to click that link, and there's just some ideas for you as families at home on what you could do to help support that as well. It really is about communication. We're also embedding everything into one umbrella. So you'll start to hear the term pause at Raha, which encompasses everything and encompasses positive education. And along the wheel, you'll see the things that we will be focusing on with positive education, the emotions, the health, the engagement, and purpose. But Pause at Raha is also about promoting more collaborative activities for the students and the community. Here on campus and within our city. Firstly, we have the OSRA system. So for the grade 6 parents coming in, OSRA is the house system that we have. It's competitive, but yet it's still just a celebration of teamwork, and it gives students the opportunity to work from grade 6 and grade 10 together. So across the grade levels, they're mixed, and they're able to have fun and enjoy different activities. We have flash mob, we have dance, what else do we have? Talent show, we have competitions within the homeroom. So grade 6 right now, they're in competition with showing you their agendas, which Paul has the agenda, and they have to get it signed once a week. So they should be coming home to show you what their plan is, and they get points for their OSRA for this. Grade 7 also has something going on with their agendas or planners, and grade 8. So it's not only here at school that things are happening, but also we want to include you so that your child is coming home and saying, hey, I need to do this, because they think it's because they're getting points, but it's more to include you as well, to make sure that you feel a part of what they're doing. We have Raha Reps, which is sort of like a student council, except it's all-inclusive. We have a small leadership team, but we put events out to all of the students, and if they can participate, then they join. We're happy to have as many members, for as many events as possible. If they can only do one, that's fine. But we want to include everyone. We want them to feel like they can get involved and they can run events and they can share their ideas. So that's what Raha Reps is. And of course, we have the curriculum-based service action and CAS, arts, sports, ECPs. All of that is going on to build our collaborative community. Tutorials and moral education are together, so that's where they get the PAWS Ed. And then we have a mentoring program, both the social and emotional side as well as the academic. We have a Center for Excellence that works every day, and that's academically focused. There are teachers and students in there. So we really encourage you to ask your child about, hey, are you joining anything? Do you want to go to the Center of Excellence? Do you feel like you want to spend some time with a buddy, which would be our mentor? It's the older students with the younger students. We have these programs available. It's just about making sure that you know that they're there for them as well. Model United Nations, and then we also have a new initiative which is called Round Square, and I will let the students, there's a leadership team that is running that and starting it, and when it gets running, I will let them introduce that to you. Along with PAWS at Raha and all these things that are going on within the school, we do our best to recognize students for their successes and for the things that they feel they're accomplishing. We have several things, not all of them are here right now, but we do the Learner Profiles Awards. Those are nominated by teachers throughout the year. And this year, our grade level tutorials are during separate times, so they have access to the auditorium, and they'll be able to have more of these recognition assemblies just to gather together and say, yay, you're doing really well, you were a risk taker, look what your teacher recognized you. Also for service action and CAS, that's also a time that we will do this. Commitment to sport, not necessarily is it going to be one big assembly, but it will be throughout the year at the end of each season so that we can recognize everyone. The science fair is a grade 8 event. Anyone have grade 8 students, children? Yeah, that's coming up, so we have the science fair, and you'll hear all about it, but Science Fair is a competition with Talim, the other Talim groups, and Raha does really well, always at that, so we're really excited for recognizing our students for the Science Fair. Department and curricular activities, I can name for English department at the end of a poetry unit, say they have, they just get together for the kids that want to do this. They come together and they share their best piece, and it's open to parents, it's open to other students, it's just a celebration of what they've accomplished. We're not necessarily giving awards, we're saying, hey, this is what you've accomplished and we're proud of you. In the MYP and DP, this is more of an academic recognition, and for those of you who have been here at Raha, we used to have on a roll and honor roll. And it was a bit tricky and a bit confusing. So what we did is we moved more toward how DP recognizes their academic successes. And you will see now we have platinum, gold, and silver. And it's based on their grade point averages at the end of a semester. Okay? And the IB Scholar is also a new thing, and that's for straight 7s. So yes, of course, we want your children academically to strive for things like this, but we understand that not all of them will get a gold every time. We are also looking at progress. So how much progress are they making? And if they are making progress, we want to celebrate that too. So we have progress acknowledgements as well. Our team is huge. The well-being team is absolutely humongous because it includes all of the teachers. Every teacher here is a part of the well-being team. Some are more specialized. You would see the counselors. Ms. Catherine focuses on grades 6 through 8, and Ms. Melissa is 9 through 12. And then you have the heads of grade who will be with their grade level, of course. In grades 6 and 7, there are 2 heads of grade, so they share that responsibility. And then you have the advisors. So it's a huge team. The advisors see a smaller group of students for a longer period of time. They see them every day for an advisory, a tutorial, and then they have them for moral education. So they do get a lot of contact time with them. And I am also on that team along with Mr. Paul and Mr. Andy and Mr. Vaughn. So we're all here to make sure that your children are feeling successful and thriving and flourishing. If you haven't met your heads of grade, I just wanted to put this up for you and make sure that you get this in the PowerPoint that's sent home. But the first two up top here is Miss Blair and Mr. Scott. That's grade 6. And then moving over to Mr. Walter, and I didn't have a picture of Miss Lorraine, but that's why it's blank. They're grade 7. And then it goes onward from there. So Mr. Luke, grade 8, Mr. Matt, grade 9, Miss Jen, grade 10, Mr. James, grade 11, going down the side, and Miss Christine, grade 12. And their role is also quite big. They have an entire grade level that they want to make sure that they are supporting and monitoring. They're helping their advisors make sure that they get the curriculum, the POSED curriculum, delivered. They are looking after student well-being overall and academic success, and making sure that they find a balance. It's really, really important that the students find a balance. So making sure that, yes, academics, it is quite rigorous here at Raha, and academic success is strived for, but finding that balance of doing what they like, whether it's music, whether it's sport, whether it's art, just finding an outlet that provides them something that is not academically based. Sleep is also very good. We want them to do that. For your knowledge and for just a little bit of a little bit more in depth into how Raha approaches the positive behavior, I put the link to the policy so you can see the positive behavior policy and what we're trying to do. We truly are trying to teach your child how to be resilient and how to take ownership and how to utilize strategies that are being taught here and at home outside of this community, because we are a truly special community, and it is very different than any other school that I've ever been at, and any other country that I've been at. And it is different from where they are going eventually. We have seniors that come back and say, whew, we were really lucky, really lucky. You don't understand what's out there. But we do. We know what's out there. It's just about teaching them how to be resilient and how to handle different situations and be confident with themselves. So I suggest looking over that policy as well when we send this out to you. Any questions? Okay. Who's up? Yeah. It's that one, the opposite one.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Richard Ballard. I'm Head of Technology and Innovation. And so I'd just like to spend a few minutes looking at the platforms we have at school. So the first one that we have and we use extensively is iSAMS. This is our student information system. This is where all of the information, all of the data for the children and your contact information is stored, and that we can then use to send out communication, send out emails, send out messages. And if you've got the app as well, and I encourage you to have that, then we're also able to send pop-up notifications. So this is really useful during emergencies for any, emergency school closures, anything like that. It's really good to have the app on your phone, and then you'll get a notification if school has to close early for some sort of flood or some sort of other kind of event. Last year we had more than in previous years. But yeah, so iSAMS, and as Mr. Vaughan said at the beginning, we do have Etienne in here as well, who can help set up your accounts or help you to log in. We have in the past run lots of training sessions, but with technology, what we find is that often that it can be quite time consuming to try and get everybody through a series of set phases and hoops to be able to follow along. So what we actually find is that it's really much better if you are having any issues or if there's anything that you're not sure about, please do come and see us. We'd be happy to sit down with you individually one-on-one and make sure that you're set up and that you're comfortable and that you know what's going on. So please do come and speak to myself or Mr. Etienne at the end. Our office is in H block, just over here in H9, and yes, please do contact us and set up a time that we can help you individually to make sure that you're getting through. So that's iSAMS. The next one that's really important is ManageBack. So ManageBack is our learning management system. So this is where the teachers will provide all of the work for the classes, resources, and information on grading and all of that as well. So that comes through from ManageBack, and as I say, throughout the year, then that's where the reporting comes through as well. The next platform that, in the wrong order. The next platform we have that I wanted to mention was Schools Buddy. So Schools Buddy really kind of handles everything else outside of the curriculum for us. So it handles all of our after-school programs, our extracurricular activities, field trips that students sign up for, and three-way conferences. And what we found a few years ago when we were looking at all of what was going on for parents that had children across multiple sections of the school was that we ended up having about 12 to 14 different platforms that you would, as a parent, have to connect into throughout the year at different times. So what we tried to do was condense all of that down into these 3 platforms. So iSAMS, ManageBack, and Schools Buddy. Still 2 more than we'd probably like. And what we are working with our central office on is now actually having one central portal that all of the parents throughout Talim are able to log into once and then be able to then get connected to iSAMS, ManageBack, Schools Buddy. So we are working on that. It is taking some time, as unfortunately all of these technology things tend to. But that's where we are aware of that, and we are trying to work with our central office and make sure that as a parent you're getting the most streamlined service possible. And the last platform to really make you aware of is Office 365. So all of the students and teachers at Raha get an Office 365 license from Microsoft. So this is an email account, but it's also much more than that. So it's also the ability to use Word, Excel, PowerPoint, which are probably the traditional platforms that you've probably heard of, but also there are within Microsoft then a lot of other applications that are available as well, and that Microsoft continues to add to all the time. So we're, as a school, trying to, again, make as much use of that platform as we can and use it more extensively going forward. So there's lots of great ways that it is already being used within the classrooms by our teachers, and we're also working to try and extend that experience as well. So that's just quickly a little bit on the platforms that we have here at school. As I say, rather than trying to put on sessions for everybody, please do come and see us and arrange for a time where we can work with you individually to ensure that that you're getting the most out of, that you're connected to all of them, and that you understand how they each work and what's going on. And I'll be around, and so will Mr. Etienne afterwards for any questions for us.
Hi, I'm Andy Tomlinson, the DP coordinator. So I'm at the last person your children see at school, and it gets quite serious up at our end. But we still have, hopefully have some enjoyable moments in the last 2 years of school. It's not just all about the work. Mr. Vaughan said I could speak for as long as I wanted, but I'll try not to. This is hopefully just going to be a snapshot of the diploma, because I'm aware that giving you just enough information to confuse you thoroughly is not really terribly helpful. So hopefully this will just be scratching the surface of what the diploma program is all about. Okay, at the center of the diploma program, as with the whole of the IB. We have the IB Learner Profile. So hopefully this is not brand new to you. This is what we want our students to be when they leave Raha, when they leave grade 12 and they go on to university. I think we do a pretty good job of creating students and creating young people who match the learner profile. And at the end of the day, this is what universities are looking for, and it's not the be-all and end-all, but well, for our students, I'd say 99.9% of our students do go on to university. Universities are looking for students who are incorporate all of these attributes, and it's because it makes their lives much easier. I'll get to that in a second. The next circle, again, the same as the MYP, is approaches to learning and approaches to teaching. So this is, I'm sure the vast majority of us went to university, and this is what university teaches you. This is why the universities like us, because our students can do these things already. Okay, our students have these skills when they get to university. They don't have to learn them, and this is why some parents think, oh, this is so tough, the diploma. There's so much work. Students have to put so many hours in. Well, this is why, because we create students who, when they get to university, they're not at a standstill. They're already up and running, and they can cope far better with the rigors of further education than students who haven't gone through the IB. And it's because they have these skills. We teach, this is how we teach, and I guess the based on inquiry in the top left should really be the big one. That's what we want our students to do. And that's what, again, when they progress to further education, that's what they have to be able to do themselves. And this is why the diploma is such a strong curriculum, and is why universities are preferring it more and more to other curricula throughout the world. We have students who come back. One of our students who actually won our Global Citizenship Award last year, nominated by teachers, Shreya, she came back last year, and she said that she was actually offered in McGill in Toronto, so a top university, offered her the opportunity to completely forego the first year at university and go straight to second year because she'd gone through the IB system. I'm not promising that happens every time, but universities do recognize the quality of the IB education and through the diploma, so they're often given credit at university. And in her case, she was actually given the opportunity to miss a whole year of study, which saves a lot of money, I guess, as well, which helps. She didn't take the opportunity, actually, because she is such a great IB student. She wanted to actually experience the first year of university herself. She didn't want to miss out on that experience. So that, again, shows her, that's why she won our Global Citizenship Award. The next circle, this is where the IB really, really differs from other curricula. In fact, others are beginning to copy us. The theory of knowledge, the extended essay, and creativity, action, and service. This is the core. This is what really does differentiate the IB from the rest. Creativity, activity, and service, CAS. This is very similar to service and action in the MYP, and students have to do each of those aspects throughout the 2-year course. Creativity can be painting a mural, activity could be joining a sports team, and service could be mentoring a younger child. There's really the opportunities are limitless, really. We have a CAS coordinator, Mr. Carlos, who is great at organizing the students, but really it is student-led. Students have to find their own activities. And there is also a CAS trip this year and last year, is a trip to Cambodia, where they work in an orphanage. I'm looking at Mr. Paul to confirm that. Yes, they work in an orphanage and help there for a week, and it's a fantastic opportunity for the students. The extended essay, which is, I guess, leads on from the personal project. It's a 4,000-word research essay. Again, this is the kind of thing that students apply to university with. Is such a great step towards a dissertation, and it shows this, develops their skills, especially in research. They choose their own topic. They choose their own supervisor, where possible. We have now 140 students in grade 11, so there's only so many students a supervisor can take. The big subjects that students focus on are history, economics, and English, traditionally. So there's very few maths extended essays, for example, but they do occasionally happen. I have to admit, I have no idea how you'd write an extended essay on maths. There's only so many numbers, but I'm sure it's interesting to some people, but I don't want to discourage that. Theory of knowledge is where students, this is actually a class that the students sit in. It's the only taught part of this course. So they sit in for 3 lessons a week. And that's where we look at knowledge itself, and we look at how we know and how we learn, and we look at the ways that we learn and the ways that we know. It is as interesting and as complicated as it sounds, and it really does take the students out of their comfort zone and makes them analyze everything. I guess the best example is how do we know that what the science that we have is true today? How do we know that the science that we know as facts are actually facts? When 1,000 years ago we knew the facts that the Earth was flat, we knew that the fact that the sun revolved around the Earth. So the facts of science change, and that's why TOK, for example, question the way that we consider facts and the truth today. How do we know that's going to be fact and truth in 5, 10, 100 years? So it's a very interesting part of the course. Outside of the core, we have the 6 subject groups. We offer 22 different subjects at the moment. The students have to take 6 of them at higher level and standard level. So we've got 22 subjects. I think 19 of them we offer at higher and standard level. So that's about 41 options that the students have. I've had 3 different teachers come to me this week with suggestions for new subjects. So we already offer more subjects than any other school in the UAE. But the new subjects, perhaps music, hopefully, will be a possibility in the future. I'm not sure about global politics and philosophy, the other suggestions this week. We'll have to wait and see. And an email from a parent asking if we could offer astronomy as well. So there's only 9 schools in the whole world that offer astronomy, so I don't think we'll be taking that up, unfortunately, as interesting as it would be. So students have to take 3 subjects at higher level and 3 subjects at standard level. We are required by the IB to have an entry requirement, and our entry requirement to take a higher level subject is a 5 in the MYP subject. So if you want to take English, language and literature and diploma at higher level, you need to have a 5 in English at MYP. The main difference between the subjects is the amount of content. Standard level is certainly not easier. That's a misconception, common misconception. Higher level subjects, basically it breaks down to 3 double periods a week. So 3 80-minute lessons per week, and standard level come 2 80-minute lessons a week to their subjects. So that works out to around about 240 hours and 150 hours respectively. Similarly, the difference in the examinations is where the students have to, they might have a paper 3 for a higher level subject and only 2 papers, or they might have a higher level exam might be 2 hours, and the standard level exam might be 1 hour and a half. But standard level, the content and the examination rubrics are pretty much the same otherwise. So standard level, it is not an easy option. It's not, it's not an easy option. So how do they choose those 6 courses? Well, they have to choose 1 from each of the groups 1 to 5. So they need to take a language A, and we only offer English. A language B, which in our school is Arabic, French, and Spanish. Oh, sorry, I forgot. There's a 4th subject. I just had a conversation with a teacher that would like to offer Italian. So it's possible that that's taking us up to 26 subjects. Who knows? In group 3, that's humanities, or individuals and societies. Group 4, the sciences. In the science group, the IB also classes computer science and design in there as well. Group 5 is mathematics, and then group 6 is the arts. So we offer at the moment theatre, visual arts, and we also offer film. That should be up there, sorry. But that's obviously would hamper quite a lot of students. So the IB does let you replace an art subject with a second subject from one of the other groups. Mostly that will be an extra science or an extra individuals and society subjects. Very occasionally it could be a second group 2, a second language B subject. There are combinations where if you take, there's a subject called Environmental Systems and Societies, which is an interdisciplinary subject. And this year we've got 2 students who have taken that as an option, which means they're allowed to take 2 art subjects. So they're studying theatre and visual arts as well. So that's quite exciting. We've got students who are taking 2 art subjects. That's new for us. Self-taught language A is also an option, and this is where you will be studying your mother tongue in literature. It's not learning a new language. So if you're totally fluent in German, you would be able to study self-taught German, but it's as a literature course. It's not learning how to speak German. That's very popular. We've got a lot of Korean students do that, and a lot of Dutch students take self-taught language A. And it gives you a bilingual diploma, which universities like a lot, I have to say. So each subject is worth 7 points, so that's obviously 42 points in total. You remember the core with the extended essay and TOK and the CAS, that makes up 3 points. So it's a lot of work for 3 points. And that gives you a total number of 45. To give you an idea, 45, there are some students, obviously, they get 45 points. That's about 0.5% of the world. It's about 100 and 200 students achieve that globally each year. Okay, so it's a difficult thing to do is to achieve maximum points. Our record at Raha is 44 points. We've had that the last 2 years. This year, the current grade 11s, I think there's 7 students sitting on maximum points at the end of grade 11, so fingers crossed. These are our results, which I know everybody wants to see. This is the number of diploma students in the top there. We also have some other students who didn't sit the full diploma. As you can see, our pass rate, 90%. In 2018, 94%. The average points total, our average points total is always around 32 points for consistently over the last 5 years. And our average pass rate is probably about 92% over the past 5 years. The current class, their prediction, again, about the same. Give you an idea of the world average. So the world average is 29.7 this year. Our average point total is 31.8, as you can see. And our pass rate, again, is well above the world average as well. So we operate well above the world average. And what we are proud of here is our pass rate. We have an incredibly high pass rate compared to other schools. But mainly, it's a pass rate because that's our cohort. It's the students who have come through with us for years and progress on to university, and the fact that they're passing at 24 points. They've worked hard to get their 24 points to get the pass rate. That is fantastic for us. Our goal is to get students through, to get them to university so they can go on and achieve their goals. We have quite a low entry requirement of a 5 for higher level compared to other schools. So we're very proud of our students and our cohort. I have to say also we've got some students resitting their exams in about 5 weeks, so hopefully that pass rate can go up even higher. These are some of the destinations our students went to or are now setting up home, starting studying in all these places all around the world. As you can see, they go all over. A lot of them return to their home countries, obviously, but a lot of students are now, the Netherlands is a really popular destination, and the big 3, UK, Canada, and USA, are as popular as ever. But the Netherlands is becoming a very popular destination. The universities teaching English. It's cheaper than other countries, but I think also as a country itself, it's quite. It's almost like an IB country, I think, the Netherlands. And round outside, we have international mindedness. This is what Raha incorporates more. I've taught in quite a few international schools, in inverted commas. Most of the international schools I teach in have been very predominantly one country, in either British or South African or American. But Raha, obviously, with its massive international population, is fantastic. It's the first truly international school that I've ever taught in, and it's my daughter's here now in grade 1, and she's absolutely loving the fact that she's coming to this school. But I remember last year I asked my students, I looked at the register, and there was I had 12 students in the class, 11 different nationalities, and there was 2 twins that were French who spoiled the record. And I thought, and I said this to the students, you don't appreciate this. This is fantastic. If there's 12 of you in here and 11 different nationalities, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" And they're not even aware of it. And to me, that's one of the great things about Raha, is the fact that students aren't even aware that everybody is from a different culture, everybody's from a different country. They're just all part of the Raha community. Oh, and that's now over to Mr. Vaughan. Okay. Hopefully I haven't put too many questions in your head.
Thanks, Mr. Andy. Okay, so in the MYP, the middle years program, we do not focus on that much at all, but I thought I would just give you a snapshot of what our standardized testing involves, just so you know it's happening. I mean, our focus is on the middle years program, which is not a curriculum per se, but it's the 8 subject groups, and it's what we are here for. However, there are certain external bodies that require standardized testing, and standardized testing itself does serve a purpose for us in terms of data external to the curriculum. There are reasons for it, and I'm not going to go hugely into the reasons, but just to give you just a snapshot, really. As I said, it's not a major focus, but the results do provide some valuable data, especially for entrance testing as well. And it informs teachers so that they can differentiate their teaching even more. There's no harm in having a bit of extra data. It also helps us to identify potentially exceptionally high-performing students that sometimes aren't picked up in the normal MYP curriculum. There's some quirky kids, and you just don't necessarily notice that they are actually extremely talented in certain areas. So it helps highlight that, as well as at the other end, which is obviously a massive focus. We have a wonderful inclusion group of teachers that ensure that all students get as much attention as they deserve, which is a lot. It's for internal use only, so when we do standardized testing, it's not a case of publicizing all the results. That's not the point of it. We certainly don't want kids walking around thinking, oh, I got this, you got that, I'm better than you. It's got nothing, we're not interested in that at all. So just to let you know, it's very much for internal use. So just looking at the 2 types of assessments that we do chem testing, which stands for the Center for Evaluation and Monitoring. It's a UK-based assessment, and divided into 2. The mid-years, the middle years, I think it's international standards or something, for the grades 6 to 8, and the YELIS, which is grade 9 and 10. So students generally do it in grade 6, and they don't do it in 7 and 8. So once they've got the data in grade 6, they don't do another test until grade 9. So if a student is new at Raha in grade 7 or 8, they will do the mid-years, or in grade 6, I should say, new students. And then the new students in 9 or 10 would do the YELIS, as well as the entire cohort would do the YELIS as well. I hope that makes some sort of sense. So this year we will have, coming up in the next 2 weeks or so, we will start with the chem testing. So just to let you know, it is coming up. Tested in maths, language, as well as non-verbal skills, sort of pattern recognition and that sort of thing. Then we also have map testing, which I'm sure if you're from the PYP, you are very familiar with map testing. We do it from grade 1, I think, all the way up. Oh, sorry, from grade 2 all the way up. And These will happen after the winter break sometime. This is compulsory by ADEC, so when we get inspected every few years, we have to bring out the MAP assessment results and show improvement, which we do. And these are maths, reading, and language and science. So that's just a snapshot quickly. I'd like to quickly go back to one.